Jang Bogo, also known as Gungbok, rose to prominence in Korea in the late Unified Silla period as a powerful maritime figure who for several decades effectively controlled the West Sea and Korean coast between southwestern Korea and China's Shandong peninsula. His impressive fleet of ships was centered on the island of Wando off Korea's southwestern tip. So influential a figure did Jang become in late Silla politics that he was granted official office as Maritime Commissioner of the Cheonghaejin Garrison and came near to marrying his daughter into the Silla Royal House before his assassination in 846. He was worshipped as a god following his death. Early years. Though he was a man of Silla, Jang Bogo's origins are unknown. One of the few sources on his life is the 12th century Samguk-So, which contains a brief biography of Jang compiled 3 centuries after his death. The biography relates that Jang Bogo was adept in martial arts and that Jang's companion Jang Yun could swim 5 li underwater without taking a breath. The history further records that as young men the two companions, Jang Bogo and Jang Yun, traveled to Tang, China. The skills in horsemanship and the handling of spears soon won them military office. They were both named junior generals of Wanning district. Rise to power. By the 9th century thousands of Silla subjects were living in Tang, centered mostly around merchant activities in coastal Shandong and Jiangsu provinces, where they established their own Silla communities often led by Silla officials. Wealthy benefactors even established Silla Buddhist temples in the region, as related by the 9th century Japanese monk Enon, whose journal constitutes one of the other rare sources on Jang Bogo. Apparently, while in China, Jang Bogo had become incensed at the treatment of his fellow countrymen, who in the unstable milieu of late Tang often fell victim to coastal pirates or inland bandits. In fact, Silla subjects living in Tang had become a favored target of bandits, who sold the captives into slavery. In 823 the Tang emperor went so far as to issue an edict stopping the slave trade and ordering the return of all abducted Koreans to Silla. Shortly after returning to Silla around 825, and by now in possession of a formidable private fleet headquartered at Cheonghaejin, Jang Bogo petitioned the Silla king Hengdeok to establish a permanent maritime garrison to protect Silla merchant activities in the Yellow Sea. Hengdeok agreed and in 828 formally established the Cheonghaejin Garrison at what is today Wando Island off Korea's South Jeolla province. The Samguk-So further relates that Hengdeok gave Jang an army of 10,000 men to establish and man the defensive works. The remnants of Cheonghaejin Garrison can still be seen on Jang Island just off Wando's southern coast. The establishment of Cheonghaejin Garrison marked the apex of Jang's career. For the moment he can be viewed in the context of the numerous private warlords arising outside the Silla capital who were often backed by formidable private armies. Jang's force, though nominally bequeathed by the Silla king, was effectively under his own control. Jang became arbiter of Yellow Sea commerce and navigation. Another rare account of Jang and his garrison comes from the journal of the Japanese monk Enon, who in 840 made a pilgrimage to Tang in search of Buddhist scriptures and relied upon the maritime abilities of Jang to reach China and return. The best evidence of Jang's now high fortunes is his involvement in the volatile factional politics of the Silla court. Political influence. At the time, Jang Bogo's backing of his own army allotted him immense power in politics. Militarily, he was powerful enough to overthrow the state and become king himself had he wanted to. He was often hated by the Silla royal family members due to his prominent status and the fact that he was born a commoner, not a nobleman. In 839 Jang proved instrumental in the seizure of power power by Silla's king Sinmu. Following the overthrow of King Mini, Kim Yujing approached Jang for help in taking the throne from the usurper who had killed Yujing's father. Jang is purported to have replied, "The ancients had a saying, to see what is right and not to do it is want of courage. Though I am without ability, I shall follow your orders." Quote. Thereupon Jang dispatched a force of 5,000 men under the command of his closest companion and advisor Zheng Yun in support of Sinmu's claim. The success of Sinmu's power grab won Jang Bogo the post of prime minister. Death. The account of Jang Bogo's demise comes from the Samguk Sagi. In 845, Jang overplayed his hand when he maneuvered to marry his daughter to King Munseong, son of Sinmu. Aristocratic factions at court, no doubt fed up with the machinations of Jang, then plotted to have him killed. The Samguk Yusa, a late 13th century Korean book that mixes history and tales of marvels and popular legend, relates that the Silla king was pressured by aristocrats to deny Jang his marriage and that as a result Jang began to conspire against the king. Whether it was the Silla king or the aristocracy that was behind Jang's demise is unclear. However, both the Samguk Sagi and Samguk Yusa relate that in 846 Jang was assassinated at his Cheonghaejin Garrison headquarters by Yeomjang, an emissary from the Silla court who had arrived concealing a knife in his garments. Gaining Jang's confidence by pretending he had fled from the Silla capital, he then attacked Jang as they shared wine. However, the Japanese history book Shokunifon Koki gives Jang's date of death as 841. In 851 the Cheonghaejin garrison was disbanded and its troops dispersed. The location of Jang Bogo's burial spot remains unknown. In Korean shamanism and mythology, Jang Bogo was worshipped as a god after his death, especially on the small island of Jangdu. The shamanistic temple on the island worships Great General Song. However, according to the islanders, Great General Song is a title of Jang Bogo. There is a myth about Jang Bogo and General Eom, Jang Bogo's son-in-law, retold in the region. General Eom, who was General Jang's son-in-law, lived in the Yeomnamit Valley. One day, he and General Jang had a contest who could first raise a flag on the eastern crag. Jang Bogo transformed into a male pheasant and flew to the crag, but General Eom turned into a falcon and killed an aide General Jang in the form of a pheasant. Thus, the crag is still called Katori Yeo.